Welcome back to Sunday Night in America. Most of us walk on the beach and stand in awe of nature, the vastness of the ocean, the beauty of creation, but not Jim Comey. He's thinking of Donald Trump, and then his insatiable desire for attention leads him to social media, where he posts a photograph of shells arranged to depict 8647. He described it as, quote, a cool shell formation. A grand jury in North Carolina described it as a crime. Did Comey arrange the shells himself? Was he aware what the slang term 86 means? And what about Republicans who have also used the phrase 86 in connection with their political enemies? What about a Republican who said Donald Trump was the, quote, Antichrist? If Lady Justice is blind, will they also face consequences? Here's President Trump.
You know, Comey is a dirty cop. He's a very dirty cop. He cheated on the elections. He tried to help Hillary Clinton, as you know. He dismissed a lot of things that he should have proceeded with. I wasn't involved, but he should have proceeded with. No, he's a dirty cop. He's a crooked man.
Comey's previous indictments were dismissed. What about this one? The FBI investigated for nearly a year. Is there evidence beyond the shells and the social media posts? Joining us is former FBI Assistant Director Chris Swecker. Welcome. Sir, we have seen grand juries reject indictments recently, which was once unheard of, by the way. This case was true billed. Yeah. Is there more to it than posting a shell formation?
Well, that's what Prosecutor Ellis Boyle is alleging, is that there was an intent here, that it's a common understanding that 86 means to kill, specifically to kill, and 47, of course, was Trump. I'm a little skeptical on this. I know that, you know, he's a pretty solid prosecutor. I've had dealings with him myself. I am from North Carolina, and I actually worked in that part of the country as an assistant DA. I just don't see, though, how, unless he has a witness or a communication directly from Jim Comey saying that this is what his intent was, or implying that that was his intent, or maybe in one of his previous mob prosecutions, he specifically indicted someone on the very same language, because Trump president alleges that 86 is a mob term. So you were a prosecutor, federal prosecutor, a great one. I'm not sure if you agree with me, but I think this one's a long shot. You know, here's what you and I do agree on. Our justice system should be consistent. Republican podcasters and members of Congress have used 86 in connection with their opponents or perceived enemies. To me and you and the old DOJ, similarly situated people should be treated the same. Absolutely. I mean, that's how I grew up in the FBI. That was our objective, and that was what I believed that everyone was gearing towards, was angled towards, as well as the U.S. Attorney's Office. I trusted those attorneys implicitly, and I trusted the people next to me that we were all going to go dig up the facts and treat everyone exactly the same, with the blinders on. Yeah, this has been used in the past. It's been used against Biden. It's been used in a lot of different contexts by people. There are T-shirts printed out that say this on them. So this is going to be an interesting prosecution. I've got to believe that Ellis Boyle has some evidence there, other than just the fact that he did it, or he put the shells on the beach.
All right, Chris, here's a guy, let's listen to him, who made a career out of manufacturing evidence and then pursuing meritless cases, and I'll ask you about it on the other side.
I was a prosecutor for almost 6 years. I never saw such a weak case. I think this case is likely to be thrown out even before it goes to a jury. The fact that we're spending time on a seashells case and the top leadership of the Justice Department is so focused on it means they're not focused on violent crime cases. They're focused now on James Comey and seashells. And it's the American public that suffers.
You know, Chris, I actually did see a weaker case. It was the Russia collusion case that Adam Schiff trumpeted for about 4 years. So A.G. Blanche and Director Patel say that this case was investigated for almost a year. I mean, if you and I were prosecuting this case together, I'd want to know if he did the shell formation himself. Did he arrange the shells? Did he simply walk past it? And then you've already put your finger on it. you have to prove intent, either general or specific, and that's really tough for prosecutors to do sometimes.
Oh, most certainly. You got to get inside somebody's head and understand what his actual intent was. And that can, as you know, that can be done a lot of different ways, circumstantially, with statements that you made, with communications that you've made with others, texts, emails, things that you've written, maybe even things that he's prosecuted. As I mentioned earlier, he was a mob prosecutor up in New York. You know, you would expect him to know what the word 86 means if it's a mob term. Maybe he's used it in one of his indictments as, you know, as threatening language on the part of a mobster. So yeah, it's a hard thing to prove. I also thought it was interesting that there was a general forfeiture provision in there, and it made me wonder whether Jim Comey's the shell formation was on his property at Emerald Isle, which he does own a property there, a beach house there, and didn't mention any specific property, but I don't see how that provision applies in any other case, in any other way.
Unless you're talking about forfeiting the iPhone, I don't know what else they could be talking about. Chris Swecker with the formerly with the FBI, thank you for your service to our country.
Thank you, and yours too.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.